All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for tonight's Austin FC post-match press conference, joined by Austin FC head coach Josh Wolff. We'll go ahead and get straight into questions from the media. Whoever would like to start us off. Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, so just kind of curious about the continued play of Driussi at the 9. I mean, I know it's important to get Ring and Pereira and Wolff all out in midfield, but no shots on goal tonight.
Yeah.
And this is one of the more winnable games in the sequence. Not to disrespect Vancouver or anything, but just kind of curious about that choice and what you might do going forward.
Well, I think it's been obviously it didn't sit well, or it didn't seem to provide the benefits that it has in the last couple games. But I think it's been a good change of pace for our group. I think we've done well against LFC. I thought we did quite well against Nashville. I think we had a lot of poor performances tonight. I think our players know that. I mean, when you have that many poor performances, it's going to be challenging to compete with Vancouver. They make it difficult in the way that they defend. They're good in transition, and I'm not talking one or two. We had 6 or 7 guys that we just performed well below what we have been utilized, how we've been performing lately in these games, both in league and in Leagues Cup. So that becomes challenging if you have that many. 1 or 2, maybe you can tolerate it or manage it, but too many. Poor with the ball, sloppy at times, just simple, easy little giveaways, and it certainly affects the confidence of the group. But for Seba, he's as versatile a guy we have on the field, and challenging. Didn't get enough on the ball, didn't obviously create any chances, as you said, or get on the end of anything. But he's the one guy that, given playing as a 9, he can move anywhere and everywhere. So I'd still encourage him to move around the field, depending upon what the next games look like. And obviously we'll start breaking down opposition. I still think it's a good option, but it is good to have 2 other strikers, and we'll try to make the decision that we feel is best for the group going forward.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, you went ultra offensive at the end.
Sure.
You had both Rubio and Zardes on. Just kind of the thought process on that, and is that something you practice a lot then?
We had a couple weeks, so we did work on some things. It's hard to replicate when the guys are exhausted as they are, so you're not always sure what the back line's going to look like so that you can build up. You do get certainly disconnected at times. You have a much more offensive posture, 2 forwards, wingers, and 2 10s. So we still have to be able to control the game as best we can and bring it to the players in good conditions. And I'd say there were opportunities for Buka. We got him in some good spots. He has to keep getting in the box, and just final product for him, I think, crossing, decision making, and getting more comfortable with his teammates. But overall, just poor in a lot of ways, and it was reflected in the result, but also just general quality of the game for us.
Colby?
Especially mainly in the first half,
Yeah.
which it seemed like the approach was pretty conservative. Would you say that's accurate, or was
Vancouver?
no just you guys?
No, I think we don't. It's a team that wants space. So if you go pressing and high pressing them, their goalie can hit it 75 yards in the air. He's pretty long. So there are things that they do that can challenge you. We did the exercise in Vancouver against them where we were. We tried to lock on so they couldn't switch the point of attack or get behind the line as frequently. And, they had the ball a little bit more tonight than they typically do. But, if you go pressing them, it provides space. And we wanted to minimize that, certainly at the beginning. We didn't, first goals are important in these games, so we want to do our part to help minimize what they are trying to do. And obviously we need to do a much better job of what we were doing with the ball. I think at times when we switched the point of attack quickly, when we got that ball to our wingers and we set up attacks, I think the game was there for us. We just, we fell a little flat, I think, through the middle part of the first half, and the emotion of it, when you don't have the ball or you give balls away, you could see it affected our guys. And I think emotionally they were a little bit fatigued at the end of the first half, and we tried to pick it up in the second half. Obviously gave up the first goal, which makes it challenging.
Can you pinpoint anything on maybe why the performance was flat?
It's a good question. We mentioned it in as a staff to think about what we did this week and high performance-wise where everybody was at. But again, the emotion coming off of what's been a pretty good last 6 or 7 games, performance-wise, results-wise, it's a little surprising. But we'll try to piece it together. We got to compete. We know we're 7 games, 21 points left. Playoff line is always going to be the talking point, and right now I think we're just above it or just in it, and we'll see how things go with Minnesota and all the other games. But we got to do our part. We got to try to grab points. I think it's fairly normal for him as far as what his responsibilities are. again, I think with the ball, we cost ourselves energy because we were just so poor and careless with the ball. In doing so, we lose our own tempo, we lose our own cadence and confidence in the game, and it costs us energy in the end. But Johnny's a grinder; he hangs in there and competes. But some legginess maybe as the game went on.
Well, and then the attacking struggles tonight, would you say that is more down to, like you said, some of the poor performances, or Vancouver just a pretty solid?
I think it's a combination of both. Again, I mentioned the Vancouver's. It's an interesting structure that they do. It's a 3-4-3. It's not a back five. So they got 7 guys. So you can see Danny's somebody that we use a lot. If you lose balls inside with Danny, and he lost some, and you could see it affected his confidence. Alex and Seba and even Owen, those are our central guys. They had for me a tough night, and it certainly affected other guys like Biro and Mikel. These are guys that, again, the last 6-7 games have been extremely good, extremely secure. And again, it's a poor performance. But I think a little bit of what Vancouver does, because they make it a little bit more challenging in those central areas, you want to play in to play out. You need to switch the point of attack quick. You need to drive them down. And when we do that, we can certainly make them live in their defensive half, defensive third a bit more, and we can bring numbers in and now be able to control the game a little bit. But just too few for us in a game like this.
Jorge?
Josh, 7 games, you just mentioned 7 games, 21 points. The calendar is really tough. You're going to face very hard teams. Is that something that it worries you?
I mean, every game is challenging, especially this time of the year. So we'll prepare for Toronto. A lot of interconference games at the end of the season. You can see that's kind of how the league builds it every year, and it's going to be tight all the way down to the end. But we can control what we can control. We got to freshen up the group. We'll lose a few guys for international break. We'll give them a couple days off, but we'll get back to a little bit of a week. We can hopefully get a game or some sort of schedule something for the end of the week, just to keep a little bit of a game cadence for the guys. We'll have to work on that. And then as we get guys back later next week or post next weekend, we'll start strategizing a little bit more for Toronto. But schedule's tough, but everybody knows at the end of the season, every game is challenging. Everybody's desperate in some ways for points, whether they're trying to get home field advantage or they're trying to get inside the playoffs.
About Bukhari, do you have any constant communication with him about? It seems like he has a lot of speed, and sometimes it's even faster than everybody else. So have you talked to him about practically a teamwork?
Yeah, I think it's just, again, I think we've seen what he's able to do. I think tonight, getting into some dangerous spots. I mean, he arrives in some really good areas, and I guess to your point, what you're saying is there are times where he arrives and the others aren't there with him, but he still has the ability to beat guys when he's in and around the penalty box. You just want to maintain the aggressiveness. He has the ability to get by just about anybody, and of course the others have to join the attack, and we can have a little bit more calm for him, a little more clarity, but that's something that we'll work on with him. But you like the fact of where he can arrive. It's now having good ideas and better execution when he arrives there. I think from his side tonight, that was probably one of the what was lacking the most for him. But he's getting a little bit better with the defending. As we all say, once we have as we've had these guys together a little bit more, the understanding of what qualities Buka has and certainly Mikel. It can lend a helping hand to what we're trying to do tonight. I think we missed the boat on some of our final actions again.
Phil?
Just defensively, is there anything that concerns you about this performance? I mean, I was kind of noticing that left flank, kind of left side of their box, you'd have Gald or Raposo, and they were, one of them was getting free a lot of the times, and Gald obviously on the goal that got called back.
Did you say offensively for them?
No, I said, offensive, yeah.
Yeah, for them defensively?
Yeah, so your right side defensively.
Yeah, I think, again, it's a challenge. For Buka, it's getting him a little bit more understanding of as he gets bypassed, how he needs to help getting lower. It's okay to get bypassed, but he has to help get down and give us a number over there. We were releasing with Mikel and with Brendan. They have some really clear mechanisms to get off the line and get behind the line, and I think they did a decent job. We took that away, so they played under the line. So I think there's opportunities there for us to deal with those situations better. As we saw it at halftime, we showed the guys again that they're there. Just go full speed. You're in a position to help compete and be preventative, and they, to your point, we let them off the line, we let them turn, and then the game becomes challenging to catch up to. But Galt's a good player, and they found some soft spots with us, and it stressed us.
Then one last one for me. Just do you have kind of concerns that maybe 6-7 weeks from now that this is going to be the one that got away that keeps you from the playoffs?
Yeah, it could be. I wouldn't put a lot into that right now. We have games. It's going to be challenging. Jorge mentioned the schedule itself. It's a tough run in, but we can look at everybody's. It's going to be tough, and you don't want to get caught too much watching the scoreboard. But what we can control is how we recover out of this, how we can come into the week where we don't have a game, and then obviously the preparation for Toronto is extremely important. They're a team that's also fighting for their playoff life, and after that, we're gonna we're in a 3 in a week, and it makes it tough. But I think this is also the exciting time of the year. There's a lot to play for. There's competition inside the group. There's competition inside our division, as we've seen, and we gotta relish that opportunity just as much as the next team.
Colby?
Is this something you would, you mentioned you guys have a leadership council. Is this something you would mention you might take to them and be like, look, this can't happen again.
Yeah.
Just we have 7 games left. Is that?
Yeah, I think there's a decent amount of experience. We probably have one of the more experienced teams. We have a from an age standpoint a pretty a pretty experienced group. So they understand that. And we've talked about it. We touched on that as we came into Nashville, knowing the last 9 games get ref differently. There's a different intensity. You can see there's a little more desperation at times. Even tonight when we're down, we're taking you're taking full risk, and it's going to be like that. In some of these games for us and against us at times, but we got to do a better job of executing what we want to do and put us in a better space to obviously create chances and score goals. We're not going to win games without scoring goals, and we'll put a big emphasis on that going forward. But you never love getting shut out, and certainly not at home. So we got to find some to build off of in this next week and focus on that for when we go into Toronto.
Any other questions? All right, we'll wrap it there. Thanks, everybody.
San Jose just tied